It's Monday, December 11th, and this is The National.
Tonight, officials call it an attempted terror attack in New York City. What we know about the suspect and his plan.
Also, the government reveals the price for legalized pot. Is it low enough to shut down the black market?
But we begin with women, once again accusing Donald Trump of sexual misconduct. In the U.S., men at the highest echelons of culture, film, politics, media have fallen to allegations. But one exception stands out. President Donald Trump has declared himself innocent, his accusers irrelevant. And now those accusers are back in the spotlight saying, "Me too."
Mr. Trump repeatedly kissed my cheeks and ultimately my lips.
He jumped all over me. And he grabbed me and he was trying to kiss me.
A man lining us all up to look us over like we were pieces of meat.
3 accusers are calling for a congressional investigation. They are amongst a total of 16 women who've come forward with their personal accounts of Trump's behavior. Some of those accusations are not corroborated, none of them proven in court, and they were out before Trump was elected. But as Paul Hunter explains, it was also before the U.S. experienced a sea change around how it treats sexual misconduct.
None of these accusations are new, but that's kind of the point.
So he kept kissing you?
Yeah, he went, I don't know how many times back and forth.
Together, for the first time publicly, 3 of the more than a dozen women who first accused Donald Trump of misconduct before he was president, now retelling their stories of him forcibly kissing and groping them.
But then when his hand started going up my skirt.
Recalling as well their feelings while watching Trump get sworn into office regardless.
It was just a tough day because it was like the entire country said, meh, we don't care that he's like this.
But all these months later, and the U.S. is a different place, with Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Louis C.K. and others all paying a price for sexual misconduct. Now, the Me Too movement has inspired a video called 16 Women and Donald Trump.
He groped me. He absolutely groped me.
Aimed at reigniting attention on the allegations against Trump at a time of extra scrutiny, pointing as well to the allegations that last week led Democratic Senator Al Franken to step aside. Today, the women called on Congress to now investigate the president.
I mean, they were more than willing to do that for Senator Franken. Why is the president immune to that?
Already, a Democratic senator wants Trump out.
President Trump should resign. These allegations are credible. They are numerous.
They were also downplayed again today by the White House.
The president has addressed these accusations directly and denied all of these allegations. And this took place long before he was elected to be president. And the people of this country had a decisive election, supported President Trump. And we feel like these allegations have been answered through that process.
Still, say the 3, in effect, it's no longer just Me Too, it's what about him?
Okay, Paul, so as I mentioned off the top, some of these women are calling for some sort of congressional investigation of the president. Is there anything to that? Can anything happen there?
Well, the short answer is it could, but it likely wouldn't be straightforward, especially while Congress is controlled by Trump's Republican Party. What they say goes when it comes to Capitol Hill, at least for now. And as well, there's no real mechanism for any of Trump's accusers to force Congress into an investigation. Still, there's real power in public pressure, and that's part of what today was all about, so you never know. The next question is how. Some are already pointing to the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, which sounds like a big deal, and it is. It has oversight on all branches of the U.S. government on rules and laws that affect, quote, the national health, welfare, and safety, into which one could easily seem to fit sexual misconduct. But as I say, all of it easier said than done, especially on Capitol Hill these days.
Okay, Paul, thanks for that. The CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington tonight. Of course, accusations of sexual assault also following Roy Moore. And on the eve of that crucial Senate vote, the National goes deep into that Deep South race to explore the riddle of what's more real for voters, accusations of what Roy Moore did or their faith in what he actually represents.
I mean, we're getting a lot of innuendos, and some of these ladies, It may be true, but we have no proof.
Got to understand, you know, like we have the same beliefs that Roy Moore has.
Keith Bogue in Alabama with tonight's national documentary in about 20 minutes. Don't want to miss that, Ian. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the man behind that attempted terror attack in New York City today.
And Rosemary, it happened in the country's busiest subway station. 3 people were hurt, but had it gone according to plan, it would have been far worse.
Guy in the hoodie. He's the guy in the hoodie.
It was 7:20, the height of the morning rush hour in the heart of America's biggest city. Surveillance video picking up the explosion in a busy walkway. When the smoke and commuters cleared, the same camera showed a man lying on his side. Police say this was the bomber, alive but seriously burned.
Boom. Boom. And then I just ran up the stairs.
It was a bomb, because I know I've seen movies and stuff, but this wasn't no movie. This was reality.
Women fell, and nobody even came to stop to help her because the panic was so scary.
It would have been a frightening moment in any city, but especially in New York, where just last month a man used a truck to mow down cyclists, and now another attack on an easy target. Emergency crews were quick to respond. The passageway where the explosion occurred connects the Port Authority bus terminal to Times Square. Subway service on several lines was shut down as heavily armed police swarmed the area, wondering if there might be more attackers and more bombs. But even this single explosion was enough to cause chaos and create fear.
This was an attempted terrorist attack. Thank God the perpetrator did not achieve his ultimate goals.
The crude pipe bomb did injure the attacker. He sustained serious upper body burns, the most badly hurt of 4 people requiring treatment.
The device is based on a pipe bomb. It was affixed to his person with a combination of Velcro and zip ties.
Anyone can go on the internet and download garbage and vileness on how to put together an amateur-level explosive device.
Investigators immediately took the attacker into custody. He is Akayed Ullah, a 27-year-old from Bangladesh who entered the U.S. in February 2011 on a family visa. He is now a permanent resident. Ullah had a New York taxi and limousine license, which expired in 2015. More police descended on his Brooklyn home to search for clues to his motive and to question family members and neighbors.
It's shocking when you hear something like this happening in your own backyard. It's so scary.
I've seen him in the neighborhood walking around. Pretty much looks like he always has something on his mind, never says hello, doesn't talk to anybody.
Tonight, police continue to interrogate the suspect in hospital. Investigators say he apparently chose his target in part because of its Christmas-themed posters. That he was inspired by ISIS, though it doesn't appear he had a direct link to the group. Meanwhile, security at key New York locations has been boosted as we head into one of the busiest periods of the year for travel and, of course, for celebrations. And both Boston and Los Angeles increasing security along their transit systems, though neither reported any specific threats. The reality, though, these soft targets are almost impossible to secure against an attack, and for that reason, it's exactly the kind of place that ISIS urges followers to go after. Consider this: Times Square Station and the Port Authority, 2 of the busiest transit hubs in the United States. Some 200,000 people pass through each one every day. The Port Authority alone sees 7,000 buses daily. And tonight, the U.S. president is saying that the attempted attack highlights the need for a tougher immigration system. In a statement, today's terror suspect entered our country through extended family chain migration, which is incompatible with national security. Trump is calling on Congress to scrap that system.
The federal government says it has no plans to keep all the profits from pot taxes once marijuana is legalized next year, and there's a lot of money at stake, a projected $400 million.
The federal government would take 25% of the share of taxation revenues over the next 2 years and leave 75% of those taxation revenues to provinces so that they can fairly deal with their costs and also work with municipalities to make sure that we actually achieve our goals of keeping kids safe and taking the black market out of the market.
The provincial finance ministers came to Ottawa this week looking for a better deal, and they found it. But they all say that this revenue isn't actually a cash grab. Still, recreational pot will have an extra tax of $1 per gram or 10%, whichever ends up being higher. David Cochran now with what that means for the price of legal pot.
The pot sellers sure have changed over the years, but the central issue of splitting the take remains.
We had a particularly good day working together.
A good day because of great flexibility. Ottawa not only moved off its 50-50 split, it capped its take at $100 million a year.
If there's any additional revenue over and above that, it goes back to the provinces.
The tax split is one thing. There's also the question of price. What will Canadians pay for legal pot?
Our best estimate right now is that the total final price, inclusive of GST or PST, or the situation's different in each province, the harmonized sales tax, will be $10.
By agreeing nationally that we're going to try to keep it uniform, we'll be able to go after the illicit market and the black market, maybe even under $10.
So $10 a gram at most, generating about $400 million in taxes a year. But even that's a guess.
None of the drug dealers seem to be willing to tell us what their sales are. And even if we knew, we don't know for sure what percentage of that market will capture.
Cutting out the black market while making enough to cover costs is one challenge. Cutting in municipalities is another. Bill Morneau moved as much as he did, in part to ensure the provinces could look after their cities.
One of the reasons they're giving more money to the provinces is specifically to cover the municipalities' costs. So it's going to be very important for every province to flow that money through with a minimum of red tape and a minimum of administration.
Municipalities certainly have been speaking to their needs and will continue to engaging in discussion with them.
This deal will be revisited in 2 years when the ministers will have some numbers that aren't just projections, and they will know if governments can make money from selling weed. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
Okay, let's turn now to a big announcement out on the West Coast. Controversial and also very political, Andrew.
Yeah, you can say that again, Rosie. The Premier said today it was with a heavy heart the province's biggest infrastructure project ever would continue forward.
I don't have a magic solution, but I have the best solution we can come up with in the time I have as Premier to make sure we're doing the least amount of damage to BC Hydro, to the people of British Columbia, and in fact, looking at turning a page and making the best of a bad situation.
So construction on the Site C hydroelectric dam has already been underway for years, but in weighing whether to scrap it altogether, John Horgan announced today it is past the point of no return and canceling it would cost billions. Here it is. Site C is being built on the Peace River near Fort St. John. When it's done, it'll generate enough energy to power 450,000 homes a year. And proponents say we can't meet climate change targets without it.
Site C is about continuing a massive competitive advantage that we have in British Columbia, having low-cost, reliable, environmentally friendly power for our citizens and our businesses.
Building the dam will also create thousands of jobs. But First Nations and environmentalists say the project would be a disaster. It would require flooding 5,500 hectares of land. That's about the size of Manhattan.
It's flooding a low elevation northern river valley with Class 1 farmland. Some terrible impacts to First Nations traditional land use. It goes on, kicking landowners off their land and many rare and endangered species.
The project also comes with a hefty price tag, $10.7 billion, already over budget. And with the glut of electricity on today's market, paying for the dam by selling surplus energy is going to take a long time. Now, Site C is also a risky play politically. And as Greg Rasmussen tells us, the NDP may have a lot more at stake than its budget.
In many ways, Site C is damaged goods, but BC's Premier says he has no choice but to buy it.
Although Site C is not the project we would have favored, and it's not the project we would have started, it must be completed to meet the objectives our government has set.
A hydro mega project behind schedule and over budget. Horgan acknowledges it's left British Columbia deeply divided.
There are divisions on this project. This was not an easy decision. I can't think in the 30 years I've been involved in public policy of a choice that was more difficult than this one.
The choice to go ahead with this partly built dam was immediately condemned by the BC Greens, which have a formal agreement to prop up the NDP's razor-thin majority.
I think that they had a difficult decision to make, and they've made the wrong decision because I don't think they have the courage to make the right decision.
The Greens say the project doesn't make economic or environmental sense, with falling prices for alternatives such as wind and solar. Although angry, Weaver says he won't bring the government down over the issue. $2.1 billion has already been spent on the project. Remediation would cost another $1.8 billion. Paying that off would mean a 12% hike in hydro bills. Politically, today's decision is the path of least resistance, avoiding incredibly unpopular hikes to power bills. But opponents, including Indigenous groups, vow to keep up the fight.
I absolutely believe that Mr. Horgan has done irreparable harm to the NDP brand here in British Columbia. There was a very deliberate effort made to convince Indigenous peoples and British Columbians that if they were elected as government, that they would address the Site C issue.
Although today's decision was half-hearted, it was critical in moving Site C ahead. Opponents vow to keep up the fight, saying they'll go ahead with court challenges and public protests. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.
A lot more still ahead tonight on The National. When Uber came to Canada, it drove the taxi industry to change gears. But after a scandal-filled year, now Uber is the one facing tough new competition.
The inferno in California continues to spread and threaten communities in its path. We'll look at the new challenges facing firefighters.
And tomorrow, Alabama will vote on whether to elect a man accused of sexual assault. Keith Bogue is there for tonight's national documentary, speaking to the people who support Roy Moore.
We see things more black and white, yes and no, right and wrong. Nowadays, there's just so much of this gray area. This is okay today, but it wasn't all right, you know, a while back.
On The National tonight, a busy night in federal politics with 4 by-elections, one of which could be a real test for the Conservatives. But let's start in Newfoundland's Bonavista Burin Trinity riding, where a winner has been declared. As expected, the riding will stay red. Liberal candidate Terrence Rogers won with just over 69% of the vote. He's the former president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Federation of Municipalities, and he will take over from Judy Foote, the former Minister of Public Services, who resigned from her post earlier this year. Now, just minutes ago, the CBC News Decision Desk projected that the Conservative Party will keep the Battleford's Lloydminster riding in Saskatchewan. Their candidate, Rosemary Falk, has a strong lead there with 69% of the vote. Over to the BC riding of South Surrey White Rock. Polls closed there about 20 minutes ago, and this is going to be the race to watch tonight. The area hasn't gone Liberal for decades, but the Conservatives only narrowly won it in 2015, and since then, the Liberals have been gaining ground. And there is one more race that we're watching tonight. It's in the Ontario riding of Scarborough Agincourt. Only 12% of the polls reporting there, but the Liberal candidate is in the lead. Okay, Ontario's premier is suing the province's opposition leader for defamation. Kathleen Wynne's team filed a statement of claim today against Patrick Brown. At issue, comments he allegedly made a day before the premier testified as a witness in the Sudbury by-election bribery trial. The lawsuit claims Brown said Wynne might have to stand trial herself and called her a, quote, sitting premier sitting in trial. He then refused to withdraw the comments. The Premier's team says they won't drop the suit unless they get an apology. And worth noting here, this isn't the first time Wynne has sued an opposition leader. In 2014, she sued former Ontario PC leader Tim Hudak over comments he made about her. That lawsuit was resolved the following year, though we don't know if it was settled or withdrawn.
Uber has been called many things since turning the cab industry inside out just a few years ago. Visionary, disruptive, bold, arrogant. Opinion may be divided, but Uber has had 100% of the rideshare business in this country. However, that changes tomorrow, at least in Toronto. Renee Filipponi looks at the new competition.
So here's my Uber app, and then here's my Lyft driver app.
For Jordan Samuels, driving Uber meant she could quit her job at a fast food restaurant, buy a car, finance her education. Now she hopes driving for Lyft will mean more money rolling in.
It's very slow during the day for Uber drivers after rush hours, so if I can have them both on at the same time and whatever one comes first, I'm happy to take that ride.
And that's allowed. Drivers are private contractors. They can choose when and who they work for.
Now that there's going to be both, Uber and Lyft can compete against each other to kind of keep us and to make us work on their platform during prime time.
Uber's reputation has taken a beating lately, from complaints about a toxic corporate culture to passengers concerned about safety, even a recent hacking scandal. Lyft is coming into the market as an alternative.
It has positioned itself as an inclusive as well as a diverse company and a very empathetic company that really wants to create an atmosphere and a space of mutual respect between riders and drivers.
In a statement, Uber says it's proud to have paved the way for ride-sharing in Canada, and we welcome competition that encourages the use of more transportation alternatives.
See what we got.
Driving for both services in California, Harry Campbell shares his experiences on his blog, The Rideshare Guy. He says Uber is likely nervous about Lyft expanding.
Uber was a global company. They were in Latin America, they were in China, they were in Russia, in Canada, in Mexico, whereas Lyft was only in the United States. And now with Lyft's expansion into Canada, they don't necessarily have that differentiating factor.
Uber may be the dominant player for now, but it will be up to customers and drivers to decide which service has the power to steer people in their direction for the future. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Toronto.
Still ahead tonight on The National, sniffing out a multi-million-dollar problem. You'll see how dogs are now being used to help farmers battle a persistent pest.
But first, Keith Bogue takes us to Alabama on the night before Election Day. You'll hear from the voters as they stand by Roy Moore amid sexual misconduct allegations.
What about the ladies themselves? What about their backgrounds? Who are they? Who were they? Did they maybe entice Roy Moore to do something along the way? Or what is their background? Do they have anything in their background that they may be ashamed of?
So do you think this is a tight race?
No. The Democrat wave will end in Alabama.
That is the spokesman for U.S. senatorial candidate Roy Moore of Alabama. The vote is tomorrow, and if the Moore camp seems confident, despite those allegations of sexual misconduct against Moore, well, they have a good reason.
Roy Moore is the guy we need to pass our Make America Great Again agenda. Roy is a conservative who helped me steer this country back on track after 8 years of the Obama disaster. Get out and vote for Roy Moore.
Presidential robocalls are going out across the state to support the Senate candidate. He may be accused of sexual contact with underage girls, but as Keith Bogue explains, without proof, voters' faith is Roy Moore's trump card.
We recognize tonight, Lord, that you are sovereign, that you are the King of the universe.
In Alabama, just about everyone would say they're Christian, and more than half the Christians would say they're evangelical.
You are the benefactor, Lord, of all of our blessings.
Evangelicals believe the Bible is perfect truth, the ultimate law, from which everything flows, even the United States Constitution.
We thank you for our Constitution that secures to us the right that we can have freedom of religion.
At this particular moment, though, it is the Constitution, not the Bible, that offers the surest escape from the deeply troubling moral question.
That he is innocent until proven guilty.
Is a man accused of molesting children fit to be a United States Senator?
Thank you.
A competitive statewide election is about as rare as a snowy morning in Alabama. But there you are. Every once in a while, it happens. And it's happening now, because for a significant number of people, this has become a head-shaking moment of national embarrassment.
Dear America, we're sorry. I'm speaking for all of us here in Alabama, even if some of these people will never apologize and never believe that they've done anything wrong.
Political columnist Josh Moon, born and raised in Alabama, has written especially acidly that the Senate candidacy of Roy Moore represents the predictable Alabamaization of American politics that he foretold a year ago with the election of President Donald Trump.
And I told you last November that no amount of lowering expectations could possibly prepare you for the river of lunacy that was rushing towards you.
Where Birmingham comes to talk. WZRR, WAPI, Birmingham.
More than a dozen women have said that Moore either asked them out or that he dated them when they were teens and he was in his early 30s. Moore has denied the allegations.
To recap the contest, Democrat Doug Jones is a U.S. attorney who gained fame for prosecuting two members of the Ku Klux Klan nearly 40 years after they murdered 4 black girls in the infamous Birmingham church bombing. The Republican Roy Moore is a former Chief Justice of the Alabama Supreme Court who was removed from the bench for disregarding court orders. He was elected to the court a second time and removed a second time for disregarding the U.S. Supreme Court. He's being accused by 2 women of committing sexual crimes against them when they were girls. And yet, it's a close race because this is Alabama and because Roy Moore has managed to turn the moral character issue back against Doug Jones by bringing up his liberal views on abortion.
Doug would have helped himself a lot, no matter what his thoughts on abortion were, if he had just said, you know, I am a pro-life Democrat here. I believe that there are instances in which abortion should be legal, but I am a strong supporter of life, however we can make that happen.
You had your hand up first, so I'll go with you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
I would like to know what you would say to those who've chosen to support your opponent, Mr. Moore, because they believe that the issue has now become abortion.
You know, look, my stance on that is well known. It has been clarified. It has been misinterpreted over the time. It has been clarified. But you know what? People are going to vote on issues of the day. If that's their issue, that's their issue.
The fact remains he supports Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court's decision legalizing abortion, and that puts him on the wrong side of things in socially conservative Alabama. At the Biscuit King's Fun Barn in Fairhope, Alabama, not far from Mobile on the Gulf Coast, you'll find the famous biscuits in the oven, the 10 Commandments on the wall, and Roy Moore at the cash register.
You're like the Colonel Sanders of the biscuit business, but you're a king, right?
I would say this, if you want what we got, you got to come to us, because we're the only one that has our unique ugly biscuits. Oh, what a beautiful day.
That's the way he starts his day all the time.
For Willie and Nancy Foster, Alabama's biscuit king and queen, supporting Roy Moore is the only option they'd ever consider.
You're wondering why. It's our core belief, you got to understand, you know, like we believe, we have the same beliefs that Roy Moore has.
Also, they have some skepticism about the women making accusations against Moore.
What about the ladies themselves? What about their backgrounds? Who are they? Who were they? Did they maybe entice Roy Moore to do something along the way? Or what is their background? Do they have anything in their background that they may be ashamed of?
Bottom line is,
we're conservative Christians. You know, that's just basic what we are.
That's basically what most people are at the Fun Barn. Val Keith and Arthur Frago come in just about every morning.
We see things more black and white, yes and no, right and wrong. Nowadays, there's just so much of this gray area. This is okay today, but it wasn't all right, you know, a while back.
You'd think credible accusations of child molesting would be as black and white as you could get, but no.
I was always told that you're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, we're getting a lot of innuendos, and some of these ladies, it may be true, but we have no proof.
If you are going to vote for Roy Moore, then you're saying the women are lying?
No, I'm not saying anything.
You know, there may have been teenagers and he didn't date them, or women without the permission of mom. Okay, you can make your judgment call how you feel about that. But there are really 2 women that we're talking about when people attach the word pedophile to him.
Beverly Young Nelson and Lee Corford.
Beverly Young Nelson, I discount until she produces the yearbook.
Oh, yeah, sure, of the yearbook, right.
There's no legitimate reason why she wouldn't produce the yearbook.
In the dying days of the campaign, Roy Moore's guilt or innocence seemed to boil down to the question of whether he wrote in accuser Beverly Nelson Young's high school yearbook when she was a teenager. To a sweeter, more beautiful girl, I could not say Merry Christmas. Christmas 1977. Love, Roy Moore. A handwriting specialist said Moore did write that, but that he didn't write the date below his signature, as young Nelson had said previously.
The truth is out there, and until
the Roy Moore team grabbed that thin sliver of doubt and claimed total victory.
And under the Alabama pattern jury instructions, it tells a jury, if you believe that a witness has lied in anything, you can disregard everything they've said.
We all think Roy Moore's a creep, but we don't know if he crossed the line. It's somewhere in the middle. Who do you believe? Who do you not believe? You know, it don't fit the pattern.
Well, this is what I would say to your dilemma, though. Not voting is a choice, too. When's the last time a Democrat...
We've been listening to Matt Murphy's show for a couple of hours, but he's been hearing this same back and forth about Roy Moore and the accusations for weeks.
You know, I have to vote my morals. Well,
and it's exhausting for him and for all of Alabama, he says. At the heart of it is a suspicion that Eastern liberal media, especially the Washington Post, fabricated the whole thing.
And they make no bones about it on the air. That the Post came and found women to make up stories about their candidate. That's the way they believe. And it's not it's not a small number of people that believe this in Alabama. I mean, there's a considerable percentage. And these are folks, I've described it, they take it on faith that they know Judge Moore. It's very religious for them. And I think in order for them to believe some of these accusations, they have to examine themselves as much as their candidate about what they've believed about that person for the last 20 years. So that's very hard to do, to look inwardly over the last 2 weeks of an election cycle like that.
This is going to be a really, really important election for Alabama, and we hope we can count on your support.
Democrats haven't seen an opportunity like this in Alabama since late in the last century. They hit the phones day and night, working to get their vote to the polls on Election Day.
We're so glad to hear that you're a strong supporter.
But just about everyone we spoke to agreed the odds still favor the candidate accused of child molesting.
On December 12th, you'll see an election that the world won't forget.
And his spokesman, Dean Young, says to some degree that's because President Trump supports him too.
Yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with it. Our president's respected, and he is the head of the party.
So do you think this is a tight race?
No.
He's not expecting a Democratic wave like the one that swept Virginia last month to sweep Alabama on Tuesday.
The Democrat wave will end in Alabama. They won't win. Judge Moore will win.
Okay.
He will. Watch.
Trump has stayed out of Alabama, but Friday night he had a rally in Pensacola, Florida, just across the state line.
So get out and vote for Roy Moore.
Can anything show they hold you in more total contempt than what they did to Judge Moore?
His main strategist, Steve Bannon, has been in and out telling people that the election is a referendum on the Trump agenda.
Steve Bannon has done nothing. He's done nothing but land in front of a guy with folded hair that happened to racist his way into the White House. And that's his claim to fame. He's done nothing other than that. And the idea that he's swaying votes, nobody who would be swayed by Steve Bannon wasn't already voting for Roy Moore. That's just a fact. So,
how do you think it's going to turn out?
I think probably Roy Moore's going to win. I mean, I don't want him to win, but I think he's probably going to win.
Timing is everything in politics, and the initial shock of the allegations against Moore has had time to melt away. And with it, perhaps the hopes of Democrats that credible allegations of child sexual assault might be too much to stomach, even in Alabama. On the other hand, if Roy Moore is elected on Tuesday, Democrats will never let anyone forget that when it counted, Republicans, and the Republican president especially, were all in for an accused child molester. Keith Bogue, CBC News, Fairhope, Alabama.
And we will be watching the results as they come in tomorrow on the National. But Andrew, tonight you're tracking the latest on the fires in Southern California.
Yeah, that's right, Ian. A wildfire burning outside Santa Barbara. It exploded overnight, threatening 3 more communities along the coast.
Huge flames and moved really fast.
The Thomas Fire has now burned more than 93,000 hectares. That's bigger than the cities of Toronto and Vancouver combined. It's damaged or destroyed nearly 1,000 buildings and forced nearly 95,000 people from their homes. And there are concerns it's only going to get worse. Right now, the flames are surging in Santa Barbara County, about 120 kilometers northwest of LA. And 3 communities there, Carpinteria, Summerland, and Montecito, are directly in the line of fire. Some residents have already been told to get out. Others are ready to leave at a moment's notice. But as Johanna Wagstaff tells us, they are all wondering how long this nightmare is going to last.
It happened quickly and in the dark of night. A wall of flames surged over the Santa Barbara foothills. Here in Mission Canyon, police went door to door, warning residents the flames are closing in.
Santa Barbara Police Department.
We already had, in the very first night, an elderly lady died in an automobile accident as she was trying to evacuate. We don't want that to happen.
The roads here are narrow and windy. Better to get out now or risk getting stuck later.
I'm a nervous wreck, but I packed up a lot of clothes, my computer, all my hard drives, camera, pictures, and that's about all I could fit.
In the light of day, homeowners are desperate for information.
So no structures lost, you think? We haven't heard. Oh, they haven't done a count yet?
And it could be a lot longer before they get answers. Santa Barbara hasn't seen a blaze like this in decades. Thousands of firefighters are working around the clock trying to keep the fire in the forest and above the ridgeline.
Today, we have 27 helicopters, and we're going to hit it as hard as we can. These firefighters are tired. They've been here through the summer. They've been on fires into the fall, and it continues.
And we have Johanna Wagstaff joining us with more. So, Joe, where are we at in the firefight?
Well, Andrew, the Santa Ana winds have eased considerably in the past day, but we're still seeing gusts for the Thomas Fire up to 60 kilometers per hour tonight, and fire danger remains high. No rain in the forecast for California for at least the next 2 weeks. Today was one of the driest days so far this season, and the slight shift in winds has meant smoke drifting inland for the first time. Air quality is a big concern, as is visibility for firefighters. But the calmer winds have meant firefighters have started to gain the upper hand on some of the other fires burning. The ones near Los Angeles and San Diego are now almost all contained. Andrew?
Okay, thanks very much, Joe.
You're welcome.
Still ahead on The National, $75 million worth of peppers were destroyed in southwestern Ontario last year. When we come back, though, we'll show you how one greenhouse decided to do something pretty unusual to fight the problem.
She's a working dog.
She is a working dog.
She's got a job.
She's got a very important job.
Yeah. She could be saving this company millions of dollars.
She could, yes. A lot of money.
Go deeper on the stories of the day earlier in the day. Subscribe to our fabulous newsletter at cbcnews.ca/The National. The National today will take you inside our journalism. That's every afternoon.
We realized we were in some trouble. The numbers of weevil we were finding in the damage was starting to get to the point where we could see major crop losses.
This tiny, persistent pest, the weevil, has destroyed bell pepper crops all over southwestern Ontario, baffling pest control experts and farmers. But this season, one grower is bringing in a four-legged solution. Its mission, find the small pests before it can ruin tens of millions of dollars more worth of greenhouse peppers. Our Ron Charles goes on the hunt.
Find. Good girl. Here, find.
Chili the Belgian Shepherd has a nose capable of saving tens of millions of dollars at this massive greenhouse complex.
Where's it, girl? You find.
She's trained to sniff out a tiny but devastating pest. The pepper weevil caused $75 million in crop losses last year at several of this region's greenhouse pepper operations. Here at North America's largest Nature Fresh farms,
we could easily find them wherever we looked.
Wow. Pest control expert Cam Lyons tried everything short of pesticides to control the weevil.
Quickly found that anything we tried was in vain. the weevil was taking over.
Lyons had to come up with something fast. He'd heard of dogs trained to sniff out bed bugs. Why not pepper weevil?
Now I know exactly where the bug is.
That's where Sid Murray came in. He spent 40 years training dogs to sniff for drugs, explosives, and yes, even bed bugs.
I told him that you give me the odor, I can train the dog to find whatever you're looking for.
Like his chocolate lab named Hunter, Chili came from specialized breeders in Mexico. Then she spent 5 weeks of training here at Murray's compound, an hour's drive outside Toronto.
The dog was phenomenal when she came in. And the handler, very seldom do I ever get a handler as good as she is.
That handler is Tina Hyde. She keeps Chili's nose in tune daily between seasons by having her sniff for hidden vials of weevils.
Good girl.
Chili can even detect a weevil that has already burrowed into a pepper on the vine.
And how good is she at her job?
She's really good at her job, actually, and it's a lot of fun watching her do her job. Sometimes I'm just sort of there for the ride.
This working dog wasn't cheap. Nature Fresh Farms paid about $15,000 for Chili and her training, a fraction of the cost of the potential damage from the tiny target of her sniffing. Ron Charles, CBC News, Leamington, Ontario.
Of course, her name is Chili. When we come back, the Golden Globe nominations are out. We'll break down what to expect on the big night. But first, as we go to break, a champion celebration in Toronto. Take a look at the party on the streets today as Toronto FC showed off their MLS Championship Cup.
This is my story.
Thank you, Canada, for sharing your stories. Now you can read them all in the Canada 2017 Yearbook, available in stores and online now.
On the National tonight, some new results to tell you about as we track those federal by-elections, this time from the Toronto riding of Scarborough-Agincourt. A short time ago, the CBC News decision desk projected that the Liberals will keep the seat. Their candidate, Jean Yip, is the wife of former Liberal MP Arnold Chan. He died of cancer earlier this year. Crown prosecutors are fighting a decision to stay charges against a notorious BC gangster. Jamie Bacon was expected to stand trial on first-degree murder and conspiracy charges in the so-called Surrey 6 murders case. But in a surprise twist earlier this month, a BC judge decided to effectively put an end to the case without really giving a precise reason. Well, the Crown filed an appeal today saying it is in the public interest to continue with the trial. They also claim the judge made legal errors.
Решена блестяще. Поздравляю.
At a Russian airbase in Syria, President Vladimir Putin boasted about his military defeating ISIS and announced a partial withdrawal from the country. For the past 2 years, the Russian military has been supporting the government of Bashar al-Assad. And though it is pulling out many of its troops, Moscow says it will maintain its 2 military bases in the country.
The Department of Justice is currently reviewing the legal options to ensure that the president's directive can be implemented.
Well, the U.S. president has suffered another setback in his attempts to ban transgender people from the military. A judge today rejected the White House's request to keep the existing ban in place. So, beginning January 1st, it's likely transgender recruits will be allowed to enlist unless a higher court intervenes.
This is a giant step toward that inspiring future and toward reclaiming America's proud destiny in space. We are the leader, and we're going to stay the leader, and we're going to increase it manyfold.
Well, that is the president announcing today that he wants Americans back on the moon. He signed a directive calling on NASA to focus its efforts on going back and also eventually going to Mars. Now, paying for all of that is a whole other question. No details on that, but NASA is expected to work with private companies investing in space exploration.
Nominations are out for what some consider the Oscars, more relaxed, fun to hang out with younger sibling. The Golden Globes will air on January 7th, hosted by Seth Meyers. You can probably expect a slightly more political edge this year, given some of the news. Here are some of the frontrunners.
Itty bitty ball of rage.
Battle lines were drawn.
Things never blow over, they blow up.
HBO's Big Little Lies, directed by Canadian Jean-Marc Vallée, is up for multiple awards, including Best Television Limited Series.
I was asleep before. That's how we let it happen.
And a strong showing for The Handmaid's Tale, based on Margaret Atwood's novel, with multiple nominations. Another leading contender is a little less obvious, though. The Shape of Water, a love story between a quiet woman and a sea monster, got several nods, including one for Best Drama. And the post-Harvey Weinstein era has opened the door for a legendary Canadian. Christopher Plummer replaced Kevin Spacey at the last minute in Ridley Scott's All the Money in the World. Now he's up for Best Supporting Actor.
The New York Times was barred.
Some of the other big nominees, the newspaper drama The Post, the dark figure skating comedy I, Tonya, and the World War II epic Dunkirk. And I am thrilled that Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale is going to get a second season that will go, like, past the book. So that's exciting.
I want to admit something, but I don't want you to judge me.
Uh-oh.
I can't promise that.
A few years ago, one of the award winners was a TV show I'd never heard of. It's become one of my all-time favorite shows, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Do you guys know that show?
No,
Yes,
I've never seen it before.
I do know
Okay,
that
well,
show.
it's kind of a silly comedy, but anyway, those out there who watch it can appreciate it.
You know what I'm amazed by? That you guys have time to watch. Between all the time that we spend... No, but we spend so much of our days producing television. How do you have time to watch it?
I've been watching TV during the program tonight, so I just multitask.
Good
at multitasking. All right, everybody. That's the National for December 11th. Good night.
Good night.